Well, Trevor, we are back. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute.
It has. It has been a hot minute.
And a few reasons for that, and one of which isn't the biggest reason, but we are kind of changing the flavor of what we're talking about. Because of if anyone watches any music podcast right now, they've heard all the copyright shit going down. And
Hmm.
it's too hard.
Right.
Too hard.
Yeah. And if you think about some of the biggest, recorders in that space, the biggest content creators with the biggest audiences, they I know of one gentleman, Rick Beato, has his own full-time attorney deal with
Yeah.
that, and I sure don't feel like paying for
Well,
that.
and especially considering that we record these on Sunday mornings for fun.
Right.
So what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about music adjacent things. So, for
Right.
example, today it is why do concerts cost so much? Because there's
Hmm.
a whole lot more to that than people think.
Oh, there's a lot to that. There's a lot to that. It certainly hasn't kept pace with inflation.
No, no. But well, let's take a quick, and when we come back, we'll get into it. Trevor, what was the last concert you went to?
The last concert I went to was a recording artist by the name of Drew Freeland, who was awesome, who was also a former co-worker
Oh,
of
that's
my
cool.
wife's. Yeah, yeah, and she actually left her job to really focus on her career, which is
That
awesome.
that wait a minute. That was that the last time we saw you guys. We were playing her music. We
Yeah,
looked her up on YouTube. Yeah, yeah, okay. Nope.
yeah,
So
she's
tonight,
awesome.
yeah,
Check her
and
out.
tonight because I have a birthday coming up, I get to pick a show. Tonight we're going to see a band called Cosmic Charlie, which is kind of a dead cover band in the city. And but there's a reason why I ask, and it's how did you get the tickets? How much did it cost? Like right now, the cost of concerts are out of fucking control.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
they truly are. And but it's not one reason, right? Why concerts are out of control. Here, look, we have visuals now.
I know. Look at that, stylish.
We're like fancy. So if you look at from 2004 all the way to 2024, the difference in a concert ticket is
Right.
you showed me, didn't you have a ticket stub the other day from something back in the day and it was like $17 or something?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So you were asking me if I was going to go see the Who's farewell
Yeah, yeah.
tour. And I said, I did see the Who's farewell tour in 1982,
Yeah.
right?
That, the first
When
one?
they did their first farewell tour. And it was the Who and the Clash at Shea Stadium. And it was 1750. And I thought at the time that was highway robbery because most tickets back then were like $8 or $9. And these are for like the main shows,
Right.
I mean, that was everybody. And
I think
then,
I was able to find after I went down a little rabbit hole after we talked about that, and I was able to go and find a ticket stub for the Prince and the Revolution, the Purple Rain tour, because I saw that tour, and
yeah,
same thing. It was like $18, right?
right.
And that ain't going from can't talk today from 1980 whatever that was 5 or 6 right to
Yeah.
2004.
85
The jump
probably.
wasn't massive, right? The
No,
average ticket
no.
cost, right?
Yeah. And I think I saw Pink Floyd on the secondary market. I bought a ticket from, in other words, a scalper, and it was
Yeah,
10th row center for Pink Floyd. So you're talking the biggest concert, just like Prince, with
huge.
right, absolutely massive, right? And massive stage production, everything else. And I think for getting a ticket from a scalper, 10th row was $50.
Yeah.
Now I'm sure younger people listen to this like, okay, boomer, or whatever, but it's like
Hey, we are
that's how it
Gen
was. You
X.
could you could afford to go. Right. We're Gen X and
Yeah,
you could afford to
don't call us
go.
boomers. Yeah, you could.
Right.
Yeah, you
Right.
really could. Whereas nowadays, it's and we're going to be talking about the ticket prices, right? Like on the next slide we had, it's gone up. Gone up 211%.
Right,
You know,
211%.
and I think in this respect, we're only talking about concert the ticket price, but everything at the stadium, the
Hmm.
arena, the has gone up, right?
Yeah,
I paid $17 for like a beer.
man.
That's freaking insane. So, but the inflation what the but inflation doesn't account for the amount, right? What is this? It's CPI inflation from 2004 to 2024 was 66%. Uh, but tickets, what is it? A real increase, 87. It's outpacing inflation by 87%.
Right, right. 87% above inflation. Yeah.
Yep. And it's
That in college, tuition, I think are probably the two things that are
out of
greatly
control.
outpacing, yeah, inflation. They're totally out of control,
Oh, I
you know.
look at our kids' freaking tuition bills
Yeah,
compared to mine. I found one of mine from I went to UIC, University of Illinois Chicago, and it was like for a semester it was like $3,500.
right. Yeah. Yeah, I think mine was too, Right.
Yeah, and now
So,
it's like 80.
right.
That does not keep pace with inflation.
No.
But here's the one that I really wanted to get to. It's the why, right?
Right.
Inflation and fees are down there. We got dynamic pricing, Ticketmaster monopoly, artist revenue models. That's a big one. Uh, the productions and the rising costs of those productions, and there's a hidden one in there, and it's going to be tariffs because of
Yeah.
all the electronic equipment that's going to just be another crank in the price wheel.
Hmm.
Scalpers in the secondary market, yeah,
Right.
and then the fan demand psychology, right? The fear of missing out.
Right.
Although I don't know if that one plays a huge no, but let's talk about Ticketmaster
No, I
first.
think I think it does, but yeah, let's go through each of these. Let's
Yeah,
unpack this.
let's talk about Ticketmaster and other ticketing services. Ticketmaster is
Uh,
egregious.
it is egregious. I mean, and anybody having a monopoly in anything,
Well,
causes unfair pricing.
and it is a true monopoly, right? When
Yeah.
they were able to take over Live Nation, Live Nation was the venues, Ticketmaster
Hmm.
was ticketing. You had a couple other ticket players out there, but once the venues and the ticketing go together, th no one has any can do anything.
No.
We were talking about Cosmic Charlie today, so it's at that new place in the city, Garcia's, after
Hmm.
Jerry himself. They you buy a table of four because it's that type of a music venue, and each ticket was like 40 bucks, 45 bucks, but then the fees on top were like $27.
Yeah.
That's
Exactly. It's
insane
like right, to go see a concert in a little club.
in a club. I
Right.
mean,
Yeah. And I think I told you that I was looking and I saw Queensryche. You remember
oh yeah,
Queensryche from
yeah,
back in the day, right?
good band.
So Queensryche's playing, it's not even like really a club. It's more like a bar. They're playing, and I thought it was unusual that Queensryche's playing in a bar, but they're playing in a bar and tickets were still like 45 bucks. And then the same thing, like you just said, I think fees on top were 16.50
Yeah.
for the fees. And
Wait,
then, and then on top of that, and then I saw then there was parking fees were 40 bucks. 40 bucks to park outside a bar.
yeah.
I
Wait, and
mean,
did they even have who was the lead singer of Faith No More?
Jeffrey Tate,
Oh,
no, they
Queensryche,
don't have
rather.
him,
Sorry.
and they don't have Scott DeGarmo, who's like really the brains and certainly the guitar behind the band. So I think you'd probably agree they're almost to this point of being a cover band.
Yeah,
Oh, the
that.
drummer's not in there anymore either. I can't remember his name off the top
So
of
it
my
kind of
head.
is it's an officially licensed cover band, is what it is.
Yeah, it's like the rhythm guitar player and the bass player, with some other pickup guys. I mean, that just to, get in the door, what is that? That's almost, that's 75 bucks. Not to
Eh,
mention to park your car, get a beer or anything else.
Yeah, and being someone who's on the tech side of the event industry, those fees are egregious, right?
Right.
Yeah, you've got to pay for upkeep and all that, and of machines and servers, but It's not, you don't need that much money.
Well, then that's the other thing, and that's a good point. That's a really good point. So I think nowadays, when you look at things, let's look at technology, right? As you know, I used to work in the theater
Yep.
itself, right? I worked for the theater union. So I set up, I did all these big shows. I did everybody, we did all the installations and stuff. And we'll get into this more in a minute, but it's more automated now too,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Oh, even
So you don't
everything.
need as many people.
Don't, yeah. Here, let's jump. This one's before
Yeah, let's do this
that part of it.
first.
But
Yeah,
streaming. All right.
right. So let's talk about it in order, especially, excuse me, if you can't see our screens, we're actually have screens that have the information on here. If you're listening to us
Yeah,
on podcast, you're not
we
seeing
we
any of
we
that. You're
gotta
not
we
seeing
gotta
our.
we can't play the cool videos anymore, so we need some kind of visual.
So you don't get to see our smiling faces either. But yeah, let's make sure we stay on track.
But
So yeah,
so this is a huge part of it, right? Streaming, music streaming. No one is
yes,
buying physical media anymore, and except for almost as a novelty, right? Like people are buying a lot of vinyl now. Vinyl outsold CDs for the first time in, I don't know, since the 80s or whatever. But they're not buying a lot, not like they used to,
no.
right?
Mm-mm.
If you look at an album like Back in Black, I probably bought it 4 times because I lost a couple copies, I wore one out, right? So people, and you had to actually buy the physical media. Now that you don't, artists are not making any money
No,
on the music, right? They're what a million plays on Spotify, I think, gets you $3,000,
no. Yeah,
which
how you gonna
you
live
can't
on
live
that?
on that, right?
That's a million plays.
Yeah.
Right. Think about that. Yeah,
So
and again, back in the day, even if we talk about vinyl, right? If you wanted the single, again, for younger people who might be listening to this, if you wanted the single, you had to go down to the record store and buy the 45
yeah,
vinyl, right?
or at the end of the cassette era, they used to have the single.
Right, the single, right? Or they'd have the B side on the back, which might have a
Yep.
song that wasn't on the record. So then, like me being the completist that I am, I would buy the single with the extra song and then record it on cassette. Ooh, making an illegal recording, but record it on cassette and then
You
put
know,
the
I'm
song
obligated to call the FBI now.
on. So
The
yeah. I mean that was it. So you're still making money off of
Yep.
if you're recording artists back in the day by people buying the single because some people didn't want the whole album. So
Yeah.
okay,
So instead of making a couple bucks per sale,
right,
there's no sale. They're just getting a small share of streaming revenue, which
right,
I don't know who negotiated their contracts, but whatever. Um, so the artists have to make money, right? And
yeah,
so a big bulk of that increase is actually the artists themselves that go in and they say, hey, look, we want to make a minimum of X off of each ticket. And that's probably the only thing on this list that I don't have a problem with.
yeah. I agree. And, you want to hear something that's actually funny it's funny, not funny, right? Is if you look at Steely Dan as an artist, right? So Steely Dan quit touring in 1974
Yep.
because they didn't like to tour, and B, they wanted to be a studio artist, right? Where
Yeah,
they
like
could
who was the other one that was just a studio band? Alan Parsons Project.
Alan Parsons, the Beatles did the same thing, right? Back
Yeah,
in 66, they quit touring. So there was 4 years where they were just a studio artist,
yeah,
right?
studio band.
And that way, like the Beatles could just focus on the actual recording itself and make albums that at the time you couldn't reproduce live on stage anyway.
Right,
Okay, fair enough, right? Steely Dan wanted to be a studio artist and they wanted to work with certain artists to be able to come in and record on their records and spend a zillion hours working on the records and make them perfect, right? So they didn't tour because they didn't want to tour. But guess what? With the last a couple of years ago, who came out again and started touring?
Steely Dan.
Steely Dan.
And even
Why?
without Walter Becker.
Even without Walter Becker, right? One of the duo, right?
Well,
Why? Because there's no money in album sales,
nothing. There's
or
nothing in it
streaming.
anymore. Yeah.
No. So if you wanna work in the studio, right, then you're gonna have to generate some revenue from somewhere, and it's gonna be from going out and doing shows.
Yeah. Well, and this kind of leads into the next one, which is the bigger shows, right? The shows are getting
Right,
bigger themselves. For example, I've recently this summer saw Coldplay, right?
right.
The technology behind that show is off the hook, right? It's
Hmm.
big screens and a stage, an LED stage that winds through the floor and stuff that flies in and drones and the wristbands the whole place can change colors. That costs a lot of money.
Right.
For people who aren't in the event industry, if I'm at a hotel and I need to rent a monitor to like put sign on or show a PowerPoint or something, they charge like $500 per day for those things.
Right.
It's a lot of money. So, and then you have the labor and everything that goes with a show of that size.
Right. Right. It has definitely changed a lot. Like going to a show now and seeing the technology from when I stopped doing it, which was probably, I don't know, 95, 96, something like that. Yeah, it's like night and day. And there's a lot more stuff that's also automated,
Yeah.
like, so,
Oh, yeah, a lot of the lighting is automated. All those
right,
systems are super expensive.
right,
Actually, with a lot of shows, the lighting has to be automated because nobody can keep up. Well, and
right.
then you've got the crazy shit like Pink when she flies around the stadium.
Hmm.
All the
Right,
wiring, all the rigging on that. Oh,
right.
that's buckets of money.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look at the Taylor Swift tour. I don't know if you've seen the concert film she did, the Eras concert film.
No, but
It's,
I
man,
mean,
it's
I do know
unbelievable.
that she traveled. It was like with 11 53-foot semis.
Right, right. Yeah,
Well,
that's crazy.
and then the way they do it, they hop skip because that production is so big. There's actually two sets of them.
There's two
So
sets.
yeah, one
Hmm.
is at concert A, and then the next one goes on to the next, so they can start setting up, and then they do this. So
Right,
whatever you think you see, double it.
double it.
Yep.
Right, right. Yeah, that's big bucks. That's
All
big
right.
bucks.
Now another reason these here now we're getting into the icky reasons why
Right. Here's
costs
a lot of
costs are going
scumbag
up.
stuff.
Yeah,
Right.
scalpers in the secondary market
Hmm.
will kill you.
Yeah.
It kind of goes to that fan psychology one, right? How fans are now that they'll pay anything. The reason that the scalpers and are able to charge what they do is because people will pay it.
Right. Yes. Because like you said before, that whole FOMO thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
I've got a birthday coming up, and so we were looking at shows and that are around, and Lady Gaga is in town tomorrow night. The
Wow.
cheapest seat on the secondary market right now, I think, was $580.
But here's the thing, as we look about this too, we can unpack this a little bit more further on into the podcast here, but we're of a certain financial bracket where we can swing this. We'll do
Yeah,
it,
I couldn't do it
I
all the
mean, we'll open
time.
our wallet and we won't be happy about it, but we can,
We could if
right?
if it were Pink Floyd, I could.
Right. Right. Yeah, for $580 a
Yep.
ticket, right? For the cheapest ticket. But it's not like, again, when we were young, right? You could,
And
and let's think about that for a minute. So if you were a teenager back in the day, minimum wage was 3.35,
yep.
right? And a ticket for a major show was $8,
Yeah. So you
right?
only
So
had to
you're
work.
working what? You're working 3 hours probably to get a ticket,
Yep.
right? What's minimum wage now? Let's just call it $20.
No,
right?
it's well, actually the national minimum wage is $7.25 or something stupid.
Okay, yeah, that's not even livable.
No,
Let's just say you're making $20 an hour, right? And the ticket's 580,
that's
right?
a lot of hours.
That's a lot of hours just to go to the damn show,
Yeah,
right? So you think about the demographic on who's going, right?
yeah.
It's not the kids going to, the
Oh,
kids, the fans, the young kids, or maybe even the super fans that aren't of
who
that
did?
economic bracket. They're not
Who,
going to that show. They can't.
who
They
the
can't
heck did?
afford it.
I saw somebody recently who's a new artist, and it was there were half the audience was people our age because they can afford it.
They can
Like
afford it.
usually, it used to be you went, and if I went at my age, I would be the oldest guy in the stadium. Not
Right.
anymore,
No.
right? Because now all the boomers are they're all going for the experience.
Right. Hmm.
Yeah, driving
Yeah.
up the price. Yeah,
That's it.
and that leads right into fans will pay.
Right.
And the once in a lifetime tours, which actually aren't once in a lifetime anymore. It's like the farewell tours. You know,
The
it
Who and Kiss. I remember
like
Kiss's farewell tour started in 2000, and
yeah,
they've been
they're
out regularly. It's not like the Who that would at least stop
at least
and
stop
then
for a
come
bunch of
back,
years.
right? Just Kiss just went on this 25-year farewell tour.
I and
Or Motley Crue.
yeah, like it was funny. I went and saw Genesis the last
Hmm.
time they came through because I hadn't seen them since the '80s, and this one they said was their final tour, and it really was because I don't think Phil
Right.
Collins can handle the road. But that was okay, right? That one I knew it was a final, but you get the Who and Kiss, and they're all just on the they're on the
Right.
farewell tour circuit.
Right.
In fact, Motley Crue just started a residency in Vegas.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
know. It's ridiculous. And this was after they had said there's no way we're breaking
yeah,
up forever, and they had a
forever.
contract, and then they tore up the contract and they went back out on the road. It's like, come on, man. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
So and then you look at we just went and saw Coldplay not too long ago, and they just announced that they're going to keep this tour going. They're going to take a year off, and then this tour is going to pick back up in 2027 and do another 240 shows.
Wow.
Right. So
Wow.
so and again, that's not a farewell type thing, but it's like already in my head, I'm plotting. Okay, I'm gonna have to get tickets for that because they're an amazing live band.
Yeah.
So
But you're gonna have to get a whole new crew rather,
yeah, they will.
because they're not gonna wait around for you for a year.
Yeah.
They got bills to pay, right? So
Yep.
I mean, if
So
you're going to do that, okay. I mean, the nice thing about that is now with everything being automated and everything else, you don't have to put together a whole new show. But the fact is, you're going to have to get all new people
yeah,
to do your show, unless you want to bankroll them for a year. But I don't think that's going to happen. You
they can
know,
afford it though.
they could afford it. They could. Yeah, they could.
Yeah,
You
how
know,
nice would that be to just be
yeah,
able
sit
to,
home for a year.
or
Yeah,
actually, I would go and tinker with the stuff. You could make it even better.
you could.
Yeah,
You could. Mm-hmm.
All right, now here we are at the fees. The
Mm-hmm.
fees, the egregious fucking fees.
Yeah, it's like, thanks,
It,
Ticketmaster.
it's mind numbing to know that you build a software product. That's essentially what they've done that sells tickets. What the biggest cost is in the building. They've built it. It's
Mhm.
done. Now they tinker with it, right? Tinkering is relatively cheap. So they are just making buckets of money.
Right.
And because they own the venues, a lot of the venues anyway, they're scraping off that too. They're stepping on,
Right.
and then everyone and their cousin is stepping on these tickets on the way up.
Right. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. And if you think about it, I mean, they were automated to a certain degree back into the 80s,
um,
Ticketmaster, I mean, now it wasn't online, but the
actually,
automation part of it, what's that?
me and a colleague give an AI talk now for our industry, and I named the big three technological changes in events, and one of them it was actually 1974, 1973 or four, and it was Ticketron.
Yeah, I remember Ticketron. Yeah,
Yeah, you could hit a button in a remote location and take a seat out of inventory.
right.
That that was a game changer.
That
Um,
was 52 years ago.
yeah, and they are the it gets I can't even talk. It makes me so mad
Yeah.
because I know that they are literally just sitting there. It's printing money.
Hmm.
And I do not begrudge anyone who makes a living. That's more power to you. I don't begrudge anyone who gets rich because of something that they're doing. Good for you. It's this is taking advantage to a whole new it's to a whole different scale.
Well, you also think if you have a monopoly,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Now, why isn't the government looking at this?
Um,
Right? Like they broke up Standard Oil, which had a monopoly for all the oil. They broke up AT&T back in the day because they were a monopoly for a phone company. I mean, why is this allowed?
Wait, the
I
current
mean,
DOJ, they can go
right.
look at this. In
No,
fact,
I
they'll
know.
support it.
Yeah, yeah, right.
uh,
I know. It's
as long as they get
ridiculous.
their cut.
Right, right. Just
But
support me in my new reelection, I mean,
exactly.
give me a flipping break.
But
Yeah,
but even other governments, I know that Canada has tried, and the fees aren't so bad in the EU and in the UK, but they're still bad, right?
right.
But I wouldn't call them criminal, whereas here it's almost criminal.
Yeah, yeah, it
All right,
is.
but let's take a look at some of the most expensive acts and what their ticket prices were.
Hmm.
So, and I forget you got this somewhere, and this is a really good list. But Bruno Mars, 250. Would you pay 250 to go see Bruno Mars? I
No,
might. I might.
you
I
might?
might. I might.
No, no. Maybe
Um,
150.
Kendrick Lamar and SZA, 206. That
Yeah,
would I actually expected that one to be more expensive. To be honest
that
with
one
you,
I probably would.
yeah,
No, man. Bruno and maybe Bruno Mars. Yeah,
he'd be a great show. It's like I'm not the world's biggest Madonna fan, but I would have gone and seen her back in the day because it would have been a spectacle.
right. Yeah. No, you're right.
And that's cool. I went and saw Katy Perry when I was out in LA for something. There were cheap tickets, so I went. Look, we're talking about how expensive they've gotten, but those were cheap. They were selling them for like $10 to set up in the nosebleeds. But it was a great show, right?
Yeah.
Uh, all right, the Drakes, the Lana Del Reys, the Dua Lipas, the Green Days, the Blackpinks, all of them under a little under 200 was their average, which that's bad. Yeah, it's still expensive.
So much for Green Day being a punk band. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? I
yeah,
mean,
but
this is the thing too. I don't know, man. It just doesn't sit right with me.
no, the and My Chemical Romance because of what 700 and then dynamic pricing on top of that.
You gotta be
Dynamic
kidding me.
pricing is it is grr, it just makes you so mad.
Yeah,
Like even airlines they do it now. Now United is starting a thing where they're going to charge you more if you're flying as a single. It's like,
the
what?
heck. Right.
It's like
No.
I fly all the time for work. It's like I,
Right.
I'm not always going on vacation. Anyway,
Yeah,
spring.
and maybe dynamic pricing might be able to work in your favor. Like, you kind of see this, like, say in Vegas or, on Broadway for shows in New York. If it's right before the show and it's not sold out, sometimes they'll do dynamic pricing
Yeah.
and you can walk up and get a ticket
Well, and like
cheap just to fill a seat.
every year now, Ticketmaster and Live Nation, they send out an email at the beginning of the summer, and you know what shows aren't really selling because they have that whole list of $10 shows,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
That's dynamic pricing could work in real time for that. Yeah. But
If you can be flexible,
yeah.
you know.
All right, here with the two big ones, Oasis and Springsteen. We'll start with Oasis because 23,000 pounds for a ticket,
So what is that's got to be what, like 28 thousand
28,000
dollars?
US.
That's 28,000 US.
Well,
$28,000.
well, first off, it's fucking Oasis. They
Right.
it's not a $30,000 band. They
God,
were a great
no.
band. They're a good band, but they're not a $30,000 band.
They're not even they're not, in my mind, they're not even a 3,000. I mean, that even sounds ridiculous coming out of my mouth, a $3,000 ticket. You know what I mean? I mean,
Yeah,
come on. Who the heck is paying that? Who is paying 28,000 US to go see Oasis? And why?
hedge fund,
Right.
finance bros.
Yeah.
Ew.
Right. But,
Yeah.
you
All
know,
right, Springsteen though, the
yeah,
working
that
man's
one really
band,
rubs me the wrong way. And,
5K for platinum seats.
you know, and I was talking to my wife about this yesterday. We were talking about Springsteen, and we're talking about a lot of his music really aimed at, let's call it the common man,
Hmm?
right? And how, as we were talking about earlier, how the middle class who can't afford to go to these shows is kind of getting screwed or has been screwed over, right? Over certainly over the last 50 years. And Springsteen really ties into that, right? And I think that there's a whole class of people that can definitely identify for that, with that rather. And then you turn around and you charge $4,000 to $5,000 for a ticket. Do you think those guys are going to the show?
No.
No, no, they are not. They are not. So yeah,
Yeah. All right. I can't even read this last slide we made.
it says what's that
Something.
saying? Bottom line on the top.
Yeah, yeah.
Concerts are
Blockbuster
block
experiences,
blocker
prices
experience.
reflect,
Right.
rising production costs. Yeah, 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 whatever. They shouldn't be this high.
No, there's no
Now,
reason, man.
or at least, now again, because of the artist revenue shift, right?
Yes.
There is something to be said that yes, they're going to be more expensive than they were back in the day, right? Because that's how the artist is now making money. You're not running out and buying physical copies of things.
Yeah,
So
you're
the
not going
so
out buying a vinyl, which,
so the ticket prices did have to go up, but
right.
they didn't have to go up as high as they did, and then they take advantage all the way through, right? So when you get to the stadium now, it's $17 for a beer, it's $11 for a hot dog, right? It, it's a horrible. Unfortunately, I don't think we have any solutions.
The only the only way I can think of doing it is kind of what was back in the day, the Fugazi model. So the band Fugazi, which was a punk band, right?
Yep.
They were all about keeping the ticket prices low, a la being a punk band and being for the people, right? So how did they do it? Well, they would go out and they would book places that weren't controlled by
Uh,
now by like Ticketmaster. So you would do like an IBEW, which is like a union hall, like you'd rent their place out, right? That
and then sell the tickets yourself.
and then say, right, or the other thing you can do is you can come into town and just rent old school gear,
Yeah.
old time lighting, like you would get back in the day and just, you'd set it up and then you'd have your lighting guy would just run that instead of like a giant video wall with lasers and explosions. And, is it going to be the same type of a thing? No. But in my mind,
Could be
at
better.
least if we're looking about rock and roll, man, it should be more primal. It should be more communal, right?
Yeah.
It should be, and that's again, this is my thing of it, right? Too, and that's the kind of one of the other things I have with some of these shows nowadays is you can't even get near the stage anyway, right? Because the security, that whole area,
Yeah.
like security physically keeps you away by quite a distance from the stage, so there's no there's no direct audience
Well,
to artist relationship because you're not close,
and then the
so
artists that are playing in these massive, and I get it. I mean, stadium shows are awesome, right? It is cool
yeah,
to go to Soldier Field, but and see a show. But if you're out in the other end, I mean, that's a quarter mile away.
right, yeah,
you,
right, and
you're not
you're watching the
you're
video
watching the video
wall,
screen anyway.
right, you're watching the video screen anyway, and that's kind of my point where meanwhile if you're in local electrical unions hall, and you know what I mean? You paid literally $9 to go, and you're working with, some rented lighting and sound rig, that you just get from there. And you're up against the stage and you're sweaty and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a certain relationship there, and it's a certain experience that's different. And again, that's just personally my view and my kind of
Like,
punk aesthetic kind of view
well, it's like,
of
we were
things.
talking at the beginning that, going to what shows, and tonight, I'm going to see Cosmic Charlie. They're a dead cover band basically, but they're
Yeah,
playing at Garcia's, and you're at a table, right? And it's that now here's the thing, those tickets were through Ticketmaster, right? And so the tickets were like $40, and then I think there was like $30 in fees or something stupid. Right now, you look at right down the road from Garcia's is City Winery. They do their own ticketing. And
right.
so a lot of times you'll go and they just have a little flat $7 fee or something that they put on top of theirs, which is okay. I can live with
Sure.
that.
Well, somebody's got to administer that,
Yeah,
right?
but therefore you can go like I've seen the dude from Everclear. Yeah, the dude from
Oh,
Everclear saw him, Art Alexis.
Art
Um,
Alexis. Yeah.
yep. Then, I've seen the Fix there.
Hmm.
But you're not paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars for a ticket. They're like $52.
Right.
And
Right.
you right? And it's a lovely place. It's a small venue, and it just doesn't seem as egregious as paying the Ticketmaster prices.
No. And those guys make enough to kind of get, to be able to get out there and be able to pay their bills, right? Because again,
Yeah.
the the way of generating revenue has changed. So you got to make it some way.
Well, and
I get it. That's cool.
City Winery was awesome, right, during COVID because we had tickets to go see Sinead O'Connor. and
Mm,
and they canceled it was right on the date when everything shut down, and City Winery was clear and concise in their refund policy. They wrote back, they're like, hey, if you want the refund, we'll give it to you, or if you think this is going to end, you can bank it with us and use it for other shows.
hmm.
And I had been going there for long enough that I was like, no, we'll bank it, we're good.
Yeah. We know you're stand up, and
Yep.
yeah, right.
So
And hopefully she comes back around again. If not, we'll use it for another
yeah.
show,
Oh, it was funny.
you
She
know.
was, she did, they really did reschedule the dates. Um, and then she canceled again for some other reason. And then there was rumors they were going to do another set, and then that's when she passed away.
Hmm.
I was bummed. She was an artist I never got to see. I would have loved to have seen
No,
her.
I never, right. I would have loved to have seen her too.
Huh,
Yeah.
that's a morbid note to end on.
Maybe we'll have to do one around. Yeah, maybe we could do something around
Oh,
artists that passed away or something.
yeah, or bands you wish you saw,
Yeah,
because
right,
there are a lot of bands I wish I had seen.
right,
Tom Petty and the
right.
Heartbreakers,
Yeah.
top of the
Hmm.
list. The last time he played Wrigley Field, it was Dead and Company for 2 nights. Then Tom Petty was coming in right on the bumper on that right, the next night, and literally, I'm like, I'm gonna go to the Dead for 2 nights because I'll just see Tom Petty the next time around.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
See, and
Yeah.
now I'm like, oh, made the wrong
Hmm.
choice.
Hmm. I don't
So,
Not like we didn't go to enough Dead shows back in the day.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Right. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's definitely a list. I think maybe we'll put together a list of bands that were actually touring that we could have seen. It's not like, I wish I saw Hendrix. Yeah, you were not even
Yeah,
born, you know what I mean? But I mean, bands that were actually touring. But like you said, you had to make a decision because everybody came through back in the day.
yeah,
You shows would be back to back
all the
all the
time.
time, all the time. Hmm.
Yeah, they were. They really were. Like I remember you going in like twice in a week to the Hartford Civic Center growing up to
Right.
see two different
Yeah.
shows.
Yeah. Same with me. I would go see shows all the time. And you know what? You could afford it.
Yeah,
And you were a teenager,
yeah,
right?
you could afford it. That was
And you bought the vinyl.
yeah. I was like the first kid on my block to get like the CD player, man. I wanted
Oh
I
yeah,
wanted
no,
digital. I was that guy.
yeah, no,
So
I was a vinyl guy. So
Now
yeah,
I'm now I like
I
vinyl.
would buy the record and then go see the show and buy
Yeah.
the t-shirt, and I could afford it.
Yep.
Now, granted, I wasn't buying beer in there because I couldn't afford that, so I'd be drinking in the parking lot
Well, and also
before I went in.
we weren't old enough for
We
that
weren't
yet.
old enough, right? So you'd kind of get some old buddy's older brother to buy you some beers, you'd drink in the parking lot, and then you'd go in.
Exactly. All right, my friend.
All
That
right.
bringing this one to a close. Uh, we will have more episodes that are fun,
Yeah.
but
Eh,
unfortunately, no music
No music.
because of
And
the
hey,
freaking
by the way,
the gremlins, whatever the hell we want to call them. Yeah. By the way,
right.
what? What'd I do?
If we're on if we're on YouTube, which I believe we will be, like and subscribe,
Yes.
right? So like and subscribe, we really appreciate it. And we'd love to hear some ideas that you might have for some upcoming podcasts. We're happy to do it.
Where we don't have to
So
play the
that,
music.
yeah, we don't have to play the music. That'd be great. And secondarily, wish Keith a happy birthday in the comments.